Welcome to the Everyday Ellises.
We are pure family chaos on the West Coast,
with two beautiful babies,
renovating houses, adventuring, growing,
and a dash of drama.
Listen in.
I'm John.
I'm Amanda.
And we are
Everyday Ellises.
Hi, we're live.
We're live! Yay! Guess where we're driving?
Not to Disneyland?
Yes, to Disneyland.
Yes, to Disneyland. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So excited.
So what's the topic for today?
We are thinking about loyalty in relationships and in the workplace.
Yeah, I think a topic that we had talked about doing that I thought was interesting is, do we think that the trait or the habit of leaning towards loyalty isn't as present in modern generations as it was in the past, albeit whether it's in marriages or whether it's at the workplace or whether it's fill in the blank. And it's such a broad view and a broad topic that I think, we're just going to try and make something of it. But what do you think, love?
So what made you think of this topic? You don't have to...
What made me think of this topic was, so today's Amanda's little sister's 21st birthday, and when I first met her, I was 7.
She was 7.
She was 7, sorry.
You were 20.
So I showed up in her life, and I think how many people, like dating-wise, shows up in these children's lives when they're older, siblings or parents even or whatever, are bringing people in now because they're dating, and that's part of the process of finding a partner. And then the younger ones see this, and then they start to see the habit of, well, actually people just come and go. And I thought to myself, well, did she actually expect that out of me? And Amanda's like, no, she loved you from day one. I'm like, okay, well, then she didn't know any better. She was 7. And then it made me think of this whole concept of what imprints we might take on as children might lead us to reproducing those in our own life as habits or behaviors. Like if you see someone coming through your life repeatedly, or you see employers changing repeatedly, maybe that's something that you grow to think is the norm, and then you repeat that habit. So that was what made me think of it first, and then that's how the topic came up. Yeah.
I think that it's very dependent on, your environment you grew up in, right? If you were raised with an environment where your parents were high school sweethearts and the other family members around you also had long-term relationships, you're going to see loyalty in a different way in relationships than someone who has grown up with divorced parents and aunts and uncles and grandparents. So I think you have to take what different definitions of loyalty can look like, and I think that in friendship too, like when you said it to me, I thought differently, but as listening to our conversation evolved, I'm thinking like, okay, I think really my first awareness of loyalty was in friendships as a kid, and I think I struggled with that because I didn't have very many friends, and I think that sometimes I didn't always make the best choice in choosing the one friend that I was loyal to and the one friend that I wasn't. And really the one friend that I wasn't loyal to probably was the one I should have been loyal to. But I needed to learn that. And it's hard to navigate that when you don't have good examples around you. or maybe you don't feel comfortable to ask the adults around you about it.
Or maybe sometimes the other relationship that you shouldn't have been loyal to is more exciting. So you still haven't figured that part out of life. Like, well, this one's more exciting. So, which goes back to, you can put that same exact concept with marriage, or you can put that same exact concept with a career.
Yeah.
All those things apply, right?
Yeah.
Restraint, temperance, and loyalty. I feel like I've always leaned towards being a fiercely loyal person. When you look at my parents, they've always been together. And if they had any problems, they didn't let me know. I always knew about money problems. I never knew about relationship problems. And then as I grew older, I looked at their relationship in a new light as I grew more educated on what it meant to be an adult. But I was raised in an atmosphere where there was no question. I thought, yeah, of course my parents are going to be together till the day they die, right? And that was loyalty. So I didn't really know that I was being raised in that environment, but I was very much raised in that environment. And then look who I am. I feel like I'm a very loyal person, almost to a fault. There was a chief back in Sacramento who used to say, and he was very well respected. He was a good communicator, and he used to say, he's like, we have a rule. You can, if you leave, you can come back. You have 3 years to come back. He's like, I think that's a great rule, because if you're curious, you should go find out. You should go find out and see if you come back. And I don't have numbers on this, but I'm pretty sure, like when I was there, it felt like 4 to 5 people came back to that department. So what caused that loyalty? When they show up, and it's an abusive department. Like, the academy is abusive. The call volume is abusive. But what creates the loyalty that makes
people want to keep coming
that
back.
people keep coming back? And there's a ton of pride in that department. A ton of pride. No one hangs their head down low when they say they work for Sacramento. Everyone holds their head up high, says, I work for Sacramento. You know? So what causes that loyalty? I think it's a mixture of all those things, and I think that those same qualities could be taken from an organization, whether it's a sales business or military or fire or whatever, right? You take an organization, you can take those same principles and apply them to a family and be like, okay, so what creates loyalty in this family? As our kids grow, we protect them, we give them boundaries, but you can't hold on too tight. You got to let them kind of be you got to let them spread their wings, right? And I don't know, we think about these things when we raise Hudson. I'll tell you what, I am way harder on Hudson than I am on Harlow. And it's not intentionally. Amanda tells me that all the time. Am I doing the right things? Is that going to create loyalty? What do you think?
I don't know. It's hard. We do what we think is best in the moment and pivot as needed. But I think that showing our kids loyalty to each other is huge.
Step one, they have to think that the foundation is solid.
Within our family, to each child.
Even if mistakes get made.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we apologize all the time.
They need to understand that mistakes happen and that the world won't end. Yep, mistakes happened. Okay, we're still moving forward as a team. There's no looking back. Let's keep moving forward as a team.
Yeah, I think that showing them, loyalty to the fire department is huge, right? We show up for events or for the community because that is an important piece of our family dynamic. And then, I would say those are the biggest things that we consistently show examples of, and then our personal community of friends and family outside of the 4 of us and the fire family. We do this because these people are important to us. We do this because we made this commitment and we're staying loyal to that friendship.
And we make them aware of the value of the transactions, right?
Yeah.
So when we spend time with people, we say, did you enjoy your time here? Yeah. Okay, well, that wasn't by accident. Say thank you. Tell the person you love them. Give them gratitude. So they don't think that these interactions are just happenstance or the way what happens in the world. You know, I was impressed with how old I was before I realized that a big plot of land with trees and bushes and everything on it didn't just happen. Someone actually went through and specifically planted all those trees. Otherwise, it would have just been weeds, right? I was pretty old before I realized that. I was like, oh, that greenery wasn't actually by mistake. Like someone put a lot of effort into that. And I think the same thing goes for relationships. Like kids need to be explained, like this isn't by mistake. This is intentional.
When I think of careers, I think that our parents tended to stay in the same career job for pretty much their whole time. Like
Yeah.
they got a job and they were there for 40 years. They didn't bounce around and try out different companies or, whatnot. They grew within the same company, or that was maybe they had two companies, but now with our generation, people are continuously looking for something with better benefits or something with more flexible schedule or something that allows them to work from home because they want to live in a different place or co-parent differently. And I don't think that was something that existed as much before. So that loyalty to like your one single employer and your group of people within that company, I don't think that that's really a thing as much anymore. With our generation, I think people are just always looking for something better. Or not always, but they're open to it. I don't think previous generations were even open to entertaining that concept. It's like, well, I'm happy at the YMCA and it pays me decent. I'm going to stay with the status quo.
Yeah.
This is my loyalty and that's it.
Yeah. And I think it raises the bar when you get globalization and the ease of changing from job to job or be able to work from home and all these options. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm a capitalist, for sure. Efficiency helps the system. And then, but I do balance things like, I like Milton Friedman. And he's like, there's three things that government should be paying for supplying, and that's fire, police, and military. So pretty much anything that keeps you secure, right? Those three things should be provided by the government. Everything else should be free market. Um, but I do think as people flow between careers more, employers more, organizations more, it they're the energy that they put out tends to be more selfish. And I don't say that in a bad way. Like selfish, a lot of people hear the word selfish and they're like, "Ooh, that's negative." It's like, no, selfish. I forget where I heard this, but like selfish maybe comes from the word teach yourself to fish. So before you can fish for other people, first you have to fish for yourself. So if you are still in a phase of learning how to fish for yourself and you're jumping ponds to be better at that, you will hit a phase where you are having enough fish in your life where you want to start to give to other people. And I don't think you should, I, I could be completely wrong about this, but I don't think you should restrict people in their phases of growth. So if you're not going to hit that phase till you're 40, then you're not going to hit that phase till you're 40. We're going to live to 90, 100. We might want to work into our 60s. We might want that because we need the purpose, because we're around a lot longer. So at that point, why shame people for not having pride in an organization? Shame because if their growth isn't there yet, they'll have that pride when they hit their 40s to 60s. And that's when they'll pour in. That's when they won't be, quote unquote, so selfish. And it's that they were selfish for those first 20 years and now they can. But in fire department, they used to hire people at 18. You have to teach these adult qualities in a young age. And the way that you teach adult qualities into someone whose brain isn't done developing for another decade is by just saying, if this, then that, rinse and repeat, you will do this. And it worked. I don't know if that's still the way. And people are confused and people are like, well, they're not having enough pride and they're not having this. And well, maybe this is just a growing pain. And it will be more common for people in their early years to float around a bunch until they find their home that's right for them, that fits their family and their whatever. And then you'll get that extra pride and that extra in that next phase. And it's just something we have to be aware of. It could be way off. What do you think?
I don't know. I think so many things. Like, I think we could talk like on each of these little things for at least 30 minutes each. I don't know. My mind tangented to your vasectomy and the like whole other layer of that aspect in relationship.
My testicles are very loyal now. Very loyal. They approve their loyalty.
Yeah. My friend said it was the second I do. But yeah, I think that we're just so enlightened now with different things as the phase we're in our 30s with asking questions and reflecting and thinking about things.
More enlightened, at least. More enlightened than our 20s.
Not that we have answers. I'm not saying we have answers. I'm just saying now we're like enlightened to be aware of it and conscious of it and seek wisdom, whereas before it wasn't even on our radar.
Yeah.
And, like, I was 33 years old before I realized that my mom had an affair on my dad.
Yeah.
I did not know that, and that's just my example of like awakening and enlightenment, awareness, and
loyalty comes from being treated being treated well from a good place, and not, just because you're being treated right, like giving your kid ice cream every night because they want it isn't treating your child right? Your child needs discipline. They also need love. Your child needs exercise. They also need rest time. Like, if you treat the organization like something you love, and at every moment you're truly doing what you think is the right decision for the organization, whether it's hard or not, usually it's a harder one, rinse and repeat for 30 years, you're going to create a dynamic that, of course, people are going to complain about certain things because everyone needs to complain about something.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an organization that when people leave, they go, oh, I actually missed that about it. Oh, that was actually really good. Or, oh, this was... And they're going to talk highly of it when they leave. And then they're going to want to go back. And that's loyalty. You created it by creating strong, respected boundaries. And you surrounded them with love and understanding and an environment to support the growth in the same direction of those boundaries in that organization. So you can be part of the team and included. And then rinse and repeat for 30 years, rinse and repeat for 20 years. Hopefully at the end, they look at you and they say, through all the good and all the bad, yeah, I love you too. And I still want to be around you, And that is what loyalty is. What do you think?
Yeah, I think in each aspect or category, whether it's work or relationship, you have your mission statement and things you're prioritizing, and you focus on the wellness of that. And everything goes back to that. How am I loyal in this instance to my workplace? How am I loyal in this instance to my wife? How am I loyal in this instance to my relationship with my community? And taking that step back to reflect and is this choice in alignment with that? Is that going to keep this in balance and wellness? If not, then I need to change my action, or I need to have a conversation with someone. I need to reflect on something. And it's effort. It's constant effort of that. There's a lot of work. Loyalty is a big moral characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes time to learn and understand and to practice.
All right.
Anything else?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Share back.